Welcome into OutKick the show. I am your fearless leader, Clay Travis. I am debuting, by the way. This is an advanced reading copy of my new book, Balls. Yes, this is really the cover. This is the cover of my new book that is going to be out November 5th, I believe, basically 3 months from today. On the 1-year anniversary, maybe November 4th, and this thing may fall over because it's the paperback advanced reading edition of the book. You can go buy this. I will put up the link. I'm going to leave the link up, and you can pre-order it, and it will arrive at your home on the day of release. I think you are going to like it. It is a deep dive into the Trump win and also young male culture, sports fans, and how and why Trump was able to put together the coalition that he won, why young men are moving so aggressively in the direction of Trump, and what all of that represents. And I would say it's almost like a conclusion to Republicans Buy Sneakers 2, American Playbook. This is like the trilogy of sanity. It opens analyzing men and women's sports with Leah Thomas winning the 2022 swimming championship, the 500 meter in Atlanta, and argues that that was a crystallizing moment that led to the landslide of 2024. I think you're going to enjoy it. For those of you who still want me to write more, and I hear from you occasionally, I do all the video, audio, everything else, like 4 hours every day. But this is 100%, as always, written by me, for better or worse, and I think you guys will enjoy it. Balls, it's out, it's up. You can get it at every online retailer. Okay, let's dive into some of the stories that have taken off over the weekend. And number one here is Sydney Sweeney, the American Eagle jeans ad that she did continues to turn into a bigger and bigger story. Before we play a couple of cuts associated with this, let me also say right off the top, on Saturday morning, I woke up, got onto social media, and they had done a deep dive. Someone had, I don't know who initially found this, into Sydney Sweeney's voter registration. She lives in Florida. In June of 2024, she registered as a voter, as a Republican in the state of Florida. Now, credit to her for making the decision to move to Florida, where there's no state income tax, which means if you are a high earner, as she is, there is a lot of money to be saved by living in a state like Florida, state like Tennessee, where I live, state like Texas, where many of you live, where there are zero state income taxes. So this was smart. But also, I give her credit. She's 27. How many of you, when you moved to a new state, when you were in your 20s, would have gone through the trouble to register to ensure that you could vote? I don't know that most 20-somethings would do this. And then also for her to register as a Republican, more power to her. Don't know how she voted in 2024, but I presume moving to Florida under Ron DeSantis was probably a calculated decision. Now, it also, to me, though, immediately explained why they came after her as aggressively as they did. They knew this. They knew that she was a threat because she's a young, attractive Republican voter in an era when almost no one is publicly outspoken about being a Republican in Hollywood. There are a lot of them. What I've always been told is the Republicans in Hollywood just stay quiet. The Democrats all brag about how much they love Kamala, and they all go to big public fundraisers, and they all speak all the time about how proud they are to be Kamala supporters or Biden supporters, whoever it was. The Republicans tend to stay quiet because they realize that Hollywood is a one-party town, and only when they get older, Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Mel Gibson, by and large, are a lot of these guys, and it's mostly men, speaking out. In fact, I can't think of a single prominent Hollywood 20-something, male or female, that has been outspoken like Sydney Sweeney has here. So I give her credit. Big brass balls from her to speak out as she has. Now, I think we have a couple of cuts of this. Trump was asked about Sydney Sweeney's American Eagle ad outside of Air Force One, and he had this to say. I believe this went viral a little bit earlier today. Watch.
President, after Sydney Sweeney, it came out this weekend that she was a registered Republican. Any thoughts on that?
That who was?
Sydney Sweeney. She's like a very hot actress right now.
She's a registered Republican?
Yes.
Oh, now I love her ad. Is that right? Is Sydney Sweeney? You'd be surprised at how many people are Republicans. That's what I wouldn't have known, but I'm glad you told me that. If Sydney Sweeney is a registered Republican, I think her ad is fantastic. Okay, thank you very much, everybody.
Okay, after this happened, American Eagle stock skyrocketed. Trump also weighed in. I'll tell you the latest on the stock here in a moment. Trump also weighed in on Truth Social, saying Sydney Sweeney, a registered Republican, has the hottest ad out there. It's for American Eagle, and the jeans are flying off the shelves. Go get them, Sydney. On the other side of the ledger, Jaguar did a stupid, seriously woke advertisement, total disaster. The CEO just resigned in disgrace. Company is in absolute turmoil. Who wants to buy a Jaguar after looking at the disgraceful ad? Shouldn't they have learned a lesson from Bud Light, which went woke and essentially destroyed in a short campaign the company? The market cap destruction has been unprecedented, with billions of dollars so foolishly lost. Or just look at woke singer Taylor Swift. Ever since I alerted the world as to what she was by saying on Truth, I can't stand her, hate, she was booed out of the Super Bowl, became no longer hot. The tide has seriously turned. Being woke is for losers. Being Republican is what you want to be. Thank you for your attention to this matter. I mean, just an unbelievable work of art. By the way, the backdrop here is no longer working. So congratulations. We now have a Fox News Media logo ad up there. Just behind the scenes, this is how I put the backdrop up. I've got like 18 different backdrops on the Fox News computer screen. We have a bunch of different backdrops, and today you get to see what the backdrop would be if I did not put on the huge screen behind me a backdrop. So just enjoy the computer screen backdrop today, because the normal backdrop is no longer working. Okay, so I give credit here to Sydney Sweeney, as I said, for speaking out and being willing to do what many others were not willing to do, which is just own the truth of the decision that you are making. And some people are saying, well, in retrospect, should it be any surprise at all? By the way, I don't know. Can we play videos? Or because this thing is down behind me, does it screw everything up? I don't know how the tech works. Here is, I believe we have a video of Sydney Sweeney shooting guns. Here is what that looks like. Let's see if that works behind me, even though the normal backdrop is not working. Let's test it. Here we go. Sydney Sweeney firing guns. Okay, that works.
Wow. 9:21.
Oh my God, girl! Was it your first time? That was really good.
You're going dog nuts. I mean,
Ready, girl.
Yes.
All right, so there is Sydney Sweeney. American Eagle stock. I tweeted this out a little bit ago. American Eagle stock, as we speak, is up 23% today, up $2.50 a share on all of this news. My mom, ace OutKick reporter that she is, was at the mall earlier and texted me a picture of Sydney Sweeney advertisement in the window of the American Eagle. As I told you guys last week, I used to work at American Eagle when I was a teenager, so this whole thing is very funny. I worked at Rivergate Mall, Goodlettsville, Tennessee, and I absolutely loved it. It's one of the most fun jobs I've ever had. Pretty girls walked in. I made $4.50 an hour. If you are watching this right now and you are around my age and you ever shopped at Rivergate Mall, I probably hit on you. If your mom is from Wilson County if she's from Sumner County outside, if she's from North Nashville area. I probably hit on her at some point if she ever shopped at Rivergate Mall, as everybody did in the late 90s. And so more power to you, Sydney Sweeney. Again, I think what you're going to see is woke advertising doesn't work. I think if you were willing not to go shopping at American Eagle, you were never going to shop at American Eagle. I think with back-to-school season starting, I think there are going to be a lot of parents out there. I think there are going to be a lot of grandparents out there that don't feel bad about spending money on American Eagle clothes, and I think this is actually going to be very beneficial to the overall brand of the company. We'll see whether I'm correct or not. I would also point out young men, and this is the whole purpose of this book, Balls, that's coming out in November, have already moved substantially to the Republican Party. Can you imagine trying to win them back by saying, hey, we're opposed to Sydney Sweeney? And there is in some way something wrong with being male and liking pretty girls. I can't imagine this being effective at all. Let's dive into a couple of other different stories. We've got in the process right now Green Dildo Gate underway in the WNBA. And I can't believe this is real. Last week, there was a dildo thrown, the first green dildo in Atlanta, and there evidently has been an arrest made. There has been an arrest made in Green Dildo Gate in Atlanta. We do not know the person, to my knowledge, who has been arrested. We don't know any of the background associated with this at all, but it is intriguing to follow. And there also was a second shooter, on the grassy knoll. We now have a second green dildo being tossed, and that occurred in Chicago. I think it was Chicago. And that green dildo tosser is still out, which led to odds being posted. Let's pull this up right here of what the color of the next dildo to be thrown would be. And I shared this on social media, and this has been seen over 20 million times. This is how viral this has gone. Over 20 million times this has been seen. Pretty extraordinary that this would be happening. By the way, we will see whenever this guy gets arrested. Trust me, OutKick will be covering that, but over 20 million times. So this will be interesting to follow as Green Dildo Gate continues to play out. This came out. I thought it was interesting. The WNBA, I'm holding this up. This was from the editorial page of the Wall Street Journal today, and it's the lead editorial on the opinion page. It says the WNBA and Caitlin Clark's civil rights, and it says that there should be an investigation into whether her civil rights are being violated based on the way that she has been treated. In particular, 3 injuries have sidelined her for 10 games. All-Star game without her, the ratings plummeted 55%. And the writer here, named Sean McLean, writes, is it because Miss Clark is white? AJ, I can't remember how to pronounce her name, of the Las Vegas Aces, said she thinks race is a huge thing. And, quote, it boils my blood when people say it's not about race because it is. Under civil rights law, race-motivated patterns trigger scrutiny even without explicit discriminatory intent. Systemic miscalls include viral replays of Miss Clark being fouled multiple times in a single possession. And the league has fostered, according to this editorial, a hostile workplace for Miss Clark through excessive fouling, targeting, and hostile comments from other players and owners. These aren't isolated, documented, continuing to be ignored by officials. Disparity in treatment invites real scrutiny. Not a single player has been suspended for flagrantly fouling Miss Clark. And said, quote, I hadn't seen this quote, UConn Hall of Fame coach Gino Auriemma said, she's been targeted. I don't remember when Michael Jordan came into the NBA, guys looking to go out and beat him up. Now, And then he continues, Miss Clark, I do think Michael Jordan was beaten up. That was part of the Jordan rules, but it tended to be by the Detroit Pistons exclusively, not by every team in the league. The article continues, Miss Clark faces a textbook hostile work environment, as the Supreme Court described in Harris versus Forklift Systems, with severe or pervasive conduct altering her conditions. And so all of this going on, and I don't think necessarily the right decision here is to begin an investigation into civil rights law, but I do think it's super interesting that this is a lead editorial in the Wall Street Journal. And I do think that if there were a black athlete that had been treated the same way as Caitlin Clark in the modern era, again, I have analogized her to Tiger Woods and also Venus and Serena Williams, I think it would have turned into a huge story. Now, those are individual sports as opposed to team sports, and how exactly this continues to play out remains to be seen. But I do think it is fascinating to break down exactly how all of this is playing out so far. Also, and I'll talk about this tomorrow to a certain extent, just flag this tomorrow for the Washington Redskins discussion. Adam, if you will remind me tomorrow that I am going to have that discussion about all of this. I also want to make sure that I have this set up. Let's see here. Can we get the college football? This is the other thing I was going to talk about. College football preseason coaches poll. If we can pull that up, and can we just leave this up? Can we just leave this up while I talk so we have the screwed up backdrop today? As you can see in the top 25, coaches poll is up, and a ton of you are reacting to a variety of different takes based on these ratings. To me, if I look at the top 25, the most interesting aspect to this by far, again, this is the coaches poll. I believe the AP poll will be out next week. We've got 1 versus 2 right out of the gate. Texas Longhorns going up against Ohio State. What a monster game for Fox to be starting with in college football. And I think that Arch Manning's debut going up against the defending national champion Ohio State Buckeyes, what a phenomenal week 1 game. I don't know that we've had very many better week 1 games out there than this one. Penn State, to me, is an incredible story. I like Drew Aller, but at some point, Penn State has to kick down the proverbial door and go on to the next level. You got Georgia slotted in there at 4. A lot of respect for Georgia. Notre Dame, great deal too. Clemson cycling back up. Dabo has come out and said he expects to go undefeated this year. Oregon recruiting at an elite level with Dan Lanning. Here's what stood out to me. Alabama all the way down at number 8 overall. A lot of uncertainty about how exactly Kalen DeBoer's tenure is going to go. We never saw Alabama anywhere near this low in the preseason under Nick Saban. Brian Kelly with the show me spot at 9. They've lost, 5 straight week 1, something like that. 3 straight week 1 losses for Brian Kelly. Miami beginning the Cam Ward era without Cam Ward. Then you got Arizona State. That's a lot of respect for the Sun Devils. Illinois, Brett Bielema has built the Fighting Illini back up. Luke Altmaier, obviously expecting a lot there. South Carolina, pretty high at number 13. I know they finished the season on an upswing. A lot of optimism with Lenora Sellers. Michigan, we don't know exactly how the Wolverines are going to shake out. Ole Miss replacing Jackson Dart. That's going to be a tall task, I think, for Lane Kiffin in general. A lot of respect for SMU. And then the Florida Gators. DJ Lagway, a lot of uncertainty about his health. Feels high to me if we don't know what his overall health is going to be. Tennessee slotting in at 18. I bet they would be top 10 if Nico were coming back and there had been no offseason drama surrounding Nico. I'm not kidding. I think Tennessee coming off of a playoff spot with a returning quarterback as talented as Nico would have been 10 in the top 10, 9 or 10. Instead, Tennessee falls all the way to 18. Indiana obviously incredible year last season. Kansas State, one of the favorites early on in the Big 12. A&M, Marcel Reed, how is the Aggie attack going to look in season 2? And then you kind of run through the rest of the bottom of the top 25. Again, these guys kind of stand out to me. Half, basically, of the top 25 at the start of the year did not finish in the top 25 at the end of the year. But what this represents to me is the excitement associated with college football getting very close. I told you guys I'm going to be doing Big Noon from big SEC games again. Going to pick out exactly what those games are, trying to make sure that those are as big of games as possible. But I'll be on the road for college football season again. Can't wait for all of that. Finally, let's have a little bit of fun. I saw this story. I couldn't believe it was real, but welcome to the crazy town world that we live in. Machetes have been banned in Australia. Having solved all other issues, remember, they basically have banned guns. They now are banning machetes. And I was joking about this because I watched Outer Banks with my middle son, my 14-year-old, and he has been fired up about how often they have machetes in Outer Banks. They have guns sometimes, but they often have machetes. And so Australia has now started having a lot of machete attacks, evidently. And so they have decided big, long knives no longer allowed in Australia. So I guess kitchen knives are on the horizon here. Okay, you might hear my son. I think I just heard him yelling downstairs while he's playing Fortnite. My 5th grader went back to school today, my youngest. Half day of school. Congrats to everybody out there who is returning to school. A couple of other news objects. Derek Dooley, maybe I'll talk about this a little bit more tomorrow, has announced for the Senate in Georgia. And I will break all that down for you tomorrow, what I think is going to happen in the state of Georgia and how that battleground is going to go. Also, Nancy Mace, who has been a somewhat regular OutKick visitor as well as a guest, has announced that she is running for governor in South Carolina. A lot of different stories to follow there. DBAP, unless you need to SBAP, go get signed up for balls. Hopefully we'll have the backdrop fixed next for tomorrow, maybe later today for Will Kane and or for the Fox Business shows as well. I am Clay Travis. This has been the Monday edition of OutKick the show. It is finally time where we can talk about college football. Love all of you. Watch out for green dildos. I'll see you tomorrow.